what age? I mean, you have been such amazing model, a gorgeous actor, and anchor. So, what was your first occupation?
First occupation, well, that's quite a question. I was 16 years old, and I thought that by 16, if you haven't made it, then you'll never make it. And I noticed that a lot in today's generation. People pressure themselves a lot, feel a lot that everybody else around has made it, and my God, I'm still somewhere behind in the dark ages, and I'm never going to get out of it. And very often I counsel young people saying that you've got a whole life ahead of you. But when I look back to when I was 16, I felt the same way. And I started out with my first assignment, which came by chance. Ritu Kumar, who was a friend of my mother's and a very, very well-known designer, she saw me and I had this punk hairstyle which was curls up towards the sky. Some people call me Sai Baba. Others said, my God, you are so cool, you are like a punk. In those days it was very fashionable to follow punk styles and spray your hair pink and multicolored glitter and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't expect a conventional, traditional designer like Ritu Kumar to ask me to model for her, but she did. And there was Simar Dugal, who went on to become a very, very famous model on the ramp, and now she's even a designer. And me, and both of us, she was the classic traditional beauty with straight long hair, chiseled features, and I was this funky person with this look. And both of us wore the traditional clothes, and it was a very successful campaign. There was no looking back from there. Then Asha and Vidya were media makers. They used to be the choreographers in those days. Any fashion show worth its weight was done by them. And so I started modeling for them. And then because I was a classical dancer, and because I had an interest in theatre, and through school and even college I did lots of plays. So one thing led to the other, and I don't think it was really planned, but it worked out well.
At such a young age, at 16, sweet 16, trespassing such amazing work, like being a model, that the glamour industry, didn't it ever hold you back to just stick around that glamour and fame?
Yeah, so glamour and fame was something that didn't attract me to the industry. I didn't set out saying I would be glamorous, I would be famous. I set out learning to love the arts. So as a dancer, I learned what Abhinay was and how important it is to have both expression and technique. So in classical dance, you have Nritya and Abhinay. So I learned that balance and used it through my career as a presenter. And even today, we had this project with the Events and Entertainment Management Agency where they called in all the presenters of India and they asked me to speak to them. They said, because you at your time were probably one of the first that launched a career presenting in this style on television. When we did Khoobsurat, the Sunday Times did a whole feature on us, the new kind of presenters, because from being very formal and very much like news anchors, we were suddenly in your homes as part of your family, and with our hands moving and our heads shaking and our eyes sparkling. So it was a whole new style of presenting. And to me that came because of my dance background. So it really was one talent or one ability led to another.
So now talking more forward, about you have been a proper Delhiite, right? Yeah. So what is the fact that you love about Delhi?
I love everything about Delhi. I love driving through the roads and knowing where they lead. I love central Delhi with its huge trees and beautiful roundabouts with gardens, which at one time were dump yards. There used to be these fountains, which we saw in our childhood. They were never active. Around them was always garbage. But still, Delhi was Delhi. It had huge open, But still, Delhi was Delhi. It had huge open white spaces, and to me that has been very important. And then even the outskirts of Delhi, there are magical parts to that, more open living. Okay, leave that outskirts part. It's just that I used to live in Chhatarpur in a farmhouse, but I suppose outskirts of Delhi are not necessarily a farmhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the architecture of Delhi. I love the culture of Delhi, not the one that says where do you live, but that culture where there's poetry and music and dance. It's a city where you can have a new experience every single day of your life, even if you don't want to spend the earth. There's so much happening, book launches, art exhibitions, plays, music, dance, and yet there's no structure to it, which I think is not fair on the artists. So from being this whole platform or a city which indulges so much, we need to make it into a city like any other big metropolitan in the world, where if there's theatre, there's a structured way that it's presented. So it can actually be a medium through which people can choose it as a profession. Similarly with dance, I think our artists still suffer. Mainstream television and even film, and of course now with Netflix and lots of digital avenues that have come up, there's tremendous opportunities for young people who want to be in the arts. But what about the classical arts? Where is classical music? Where is classical dance? Where is classical theatre? So I think these are areas where if little interest is invested, lots can be done.
Okay. So, as you have mentioned earlier, that you are a social activist. So, are you working something towards like to bring the culture, like our culture, our classical culture, in your community, in your social activities or anything? Have you done anything like that?
So I set up the Commonwealth Cultural Forum, which brings together people from 54 nations across the world, and they have a platform to exchange their cultures. And then there's also the Delhi School for the. I set up the Commonwealth Cultural Forum, which is a platform to bring together people from the 54 nations of the Commonwealth through their cultural connects. I also work with special children through the Delhi Society for Special Children, and I'm on the board of Ekatvam, which is a charity that helps people with epilepsy. Now, I don't know if you know this, but 10 million people in India have epilepsy, and of them, 70% don't even try to get a cure. Reason is simple. If they say they've got it, then they'll be ostracized. People won't want to know them, people won't want to marry them, they won't want them in their schools, in their classes, at their workplace. So they just quietly suffer. But actually it could be as simple as wearing glasses because you can't see, or wearing braces because your teeth are badly shaped. So having medication for epilepsy is that simple. So I feel with the kind of work I've done in the past, whether it's television or anchoring shows or theatre or modeling, I can be a person who can bring to light such issues. So that's what I do. I use whichever platform, like this interview on page 3 now, to share this information that if anyone has epilepsy, be kind to them, and it's really not a situation which is out of control. It can be controlled through medication, and it can be cured through surgery in many cases. So that's an important thing. Other than that, going back to what is done, I think for me personally the most rewarding experience, because it's more consistent than the others come and go, and I do a project where I compare an event, I go there, learn everything about that company or that project or that person, and we do the event and then it's over. But at the study school, I consistently work with little children, and nothing is more rewarding than that. And the kind of techniques that we use to work with them, for instance, we have a full-time music teacher. He comes in the morning and he starts to play the piano, and the children start to sing. So the first 45 minutes to 1 hour is these little children just singing. Some of them actually know the words and the songs because they've been around a while and they're older. Some of them actually just do and try to match the lip sync. Even that in itself is a tremendous talent, because you're developing the ability to hear, you're developing the ability to react to the music, to be in a collective space with other children. Today, so many children are in their homes, and with their parents also, they are isolated. Why? Because the parent is busy with their device. The child is given a device to be busy as well. But being busy is not the answer. Being busy is not seeking attention from those around you, but it may not be the ideal situation for you. Sometimes being bored is better than being busy. Because when you're bored and looking out of a window, looking at a tree, looking at a leaf, wondering how many ladybirds are on that leaf, or how many have ever been there, what ability that gives you is the creative ability. And that's how I developed my creative ability. I was a huge dreamer as a child. So when everybody went to play Holi, I was so weak and so like Husadi that I was actually left behind. In those times of being left behind and looking out of the window and seeing other people play Holi, I developed an ability to make stories. I would see someone on the road and say, where are they coming from? Where are they going? What are they feeling? And that ability later gave me the possibility of being able to write my plays. So I did Draupadi Will My Spirit Live On. It was on women's empowerment. I brought Draupadi into current times. I did I Am the Tiger, which was about Tadev the tiger who met Shiva, who decided that it was time's up for him. And when he did that, he got scared. He said, my God, what if people say I'm not for women's empowerment because the tiger is Durga's Vahan, Durga's way of being mobile, not on the telephone, but mobility as in being able to move around from place to place. So then Shiva revived him. So what I do is I make everything into a conversation. So whether it's being with the 2-year-olds and telling them not to yawn without their hands, because if you yawn and your hand is not in your mouth, then a bee will come and go bzzz and in. And you'll be surprised, even a 2-year-old understands that. So the next time they yawn, they put their hand up. So it's simple things. I think I was just born to be a little bit dramatic with my expressions. So whether it's dealing with the little children or it's dealing with animals, I love horses, dogs, bunny rabbits. We have bunny rabbits at the school outside and the children love to play with them. So it's, I think being able to communicate is really about being able to feel, and all of us can feel. But some of us do lock ourselves into barriers, maybe protective barriers, because you have to get somewhere, you have to get something done, you have to be someone, you have to achieve something. So you just say, okay, this is the focus. I can't see, hear, breathe, tell anything beyond that. I think it's important not to put those barriers, because then you can do what you're meant to. Breathe, live, and most importantly, enjoy.
Wonderful, amazing. I bet the dramatic part that you have said, that is your features of your face expressions, and personally, I love it. So, yes, anyway, moving forward. So, yeah, I have read this everywhere, almost everywhere. The eminent content curator. So, what does that mean? What's actually the meaning of this?
Well, eminence is a byproduct of consistency.
Yeah.
So if you are consistently doing something, you're going to be known for it. For instance, the study school has been around for 47 years. Wherever I go, the other day I was doing an awards function and I was getting into the lift to go to the venue, and suddenly a couple stopped me and they said, oh, our child has been in the study and benefited so much, and they went on and on and on. I thought they must have a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old child who was just passed out recently from the study preschool. Their child was 23 years old and they still remember this as such an important foundation. So the fact that the school has been there 47 years, teaching little children, makes it special, unique, and they don't have to say or do anything. They're there etched in people's minds. So the fact that I have been a presenter since the time that cable television came on, since the time that the first beauty fashion fitness program came on, since the time that the music shows were just something that people really looked forward to. I remember when I did Taj Mahal Takite Din, we used to have sample audiences react to how the show was being enjoyed by people and what they really liked. They loved the way I dressed, and that was, I never thought that was something that was a part of what I was doing, because I thought what we were saying was the most important. But in life, when you meet someone, there are many things that make their experience pleasant or unpleasant, desirable or not desirable. And it's a whole package. You don't know what aspect who reacts to. So the main thing is, get up, get dressed, show up. No matter what you do, you will be successful. So I think for me personally, I do a new thing every day. I have this wonderful gift where a new thing is not, oh my God, do I really have to adjust to this? A new thing is, wow, I can do that today. So I think that's a great gift that God has given me, where I can enjoy every new experience without being worried about it. A lot of people see something new and go, I can't do that. For me, it's, I have to try to do that.
Okay, that enthusiasm and that positivity is remarkable. So now, as you have mentioned, the part where you like getting dressed up, please, our viewers are dying to know what's your current fashion trend going on.
So when I compare events, I have to be a different person in terms of how I look. I have to be the kind of person who people see and say, that's a really stunning look. So when I come to school, I usually wear a sari because here it's the look where there is a certain tradition. You're educating young ones. Um, there is a certain formality and decorum that I would like to maintain. So it's two absolutely different roles. One as an anchor where you're saying, well, here is this wonderful out of the world thing. And then as a person working with young children, it's here is someone who is your friend, who is your guide, and yet, you know what? There's always a line that you don't cross. So even young children, as young as 2 years old, they look at you differently when you come dressed formally. They look up to you. So sometimes when they're going up the steps, I tell the children, look where you're going, and they keep looking back because for them there's a stream of communication coming through, and that also comes from authority without saying, children, mind your business and go up the steps. It can just be having a certain way that you carry yourself, looking a certain way, and being charming and saying, if you look where you go, you won't fall. And that actually is a concept I learned through dance, because where the hand is, the eye is, and where the eye is, the story is, and that's the revelation you take an audience through with you, not by
That was something magical that I just saw. Thank you so much for showing me that. Anyway, so yeah, I will drag you towards this point again. So you have mentioned your anchor look and your subtle teacher, most probably mentor look. So what's your the season look? Like it's almost summer and monsoon going on. So what will be your favorite fashion brand that you would like to carry?
So I wear a lot of Study by Janak, that's SPJ, and it started out because they asked me to compare some events of theirs. I barely knew them, and suddenly we became really good friends. I remember, in fact, the first show that we met at, Randy Mehra and I, it was a show at Kingdom of Dreams, and there the stage actually splits. They've got fantastic spaces, and suddenly from under the stage emerges a new platform. So I was in front of the stage and walking backwards, and Vivek Oberoi had to emerge from behind me on the lower stage. But for the lower stage to go down, it had to physically go down. I wasn't aware that it's gone down, so I'm walking backwards and the stage has gone down, and then I fall. And I was wearing this huge gown that Randy had done, and it was so huge that I thank her for it. It had this can and whatnot. So when I fell, I didn't get hurt. I fell 6 feet down. I had the mic in my hand. The entire audience thought it was planned because I kept talking. They just saw that I was there and then I disappeared. And Vivek Oberoi was standing next to me, and we appeared again on the stage as it came up, and everybody clapped, and he looked like the most astonished person on earth because he knew it was a part of the script. He knew I had fallen, and he saw me standing, and suddenly we emerged on the stage. So I think from then on, Vandy and I just had a pact that we were going to do all our events together, and their look was so spectacular that I would just wear their clothes, and it's now a no-brainer. I say, okay, this is the show I'm doing, can you please send me something? And without fail, yet another stunning outfit arrives. Having said that, I also work with some other designers like Apaya Jain or even Hemant Lakone or Ritu Kumar, Tarun Telyani,